Let's talk.
It's the nation's number one talk news and sports radio station, 99.3 Nigeria Info. 5 minutes gone past the 3 o'clock hour, welcoming you officially to Hard Facts. Like I always say, this will be your most authentic news experience. My name is Maryann Okon. It's an abridged version yet again because I beg to differ. Debate championships, the semi-finals is taking place today. And don't forget, Monday is going to be the finals of this championship, and you do not want to miss it. But then all of that will be determined today from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Once again, welcome to the show. Today, we're going to be talking about the federal government student loan fund. Now, a lot of people have asked so many questions about what that student loan fund is about. Many people are saying, are we America? What student loan? Do we have money to loan people? How will we pay back? Well, I've got good news for you. The guy who's in charge of this is going to be joining us. In fact, has joined us via Zoom. And of course, he'll be telling us all that we need to know, breaking it down for all of us who are listening to understand. And if you are indeed interested, then you'd know exactly what to do. So Lagos, welcome to the show. Now, President Bola Tinubu, I think sometime in June last year had promised that the student loan scheme would be approved and it would go live in January of this year. Yes, he made a promise about the student loan. In fact, when it first hit the news, a lot of people were wondering how this was going to work. He also promised that episodes of industrial action by the academic staff unions of tertiary institutions would become a thing of the past. He said, and I quote, by January 2024, the new student loan program must commence. To the future of our children and students, we're saying no more strikes. The president said when he declared the 29th session of the annual Nigeria Economic Summit at Transcorp Hilton in Abuja last year. Well, joining me this afternoon to speak on the student loan issue, I am being joined by someone who's been here before. I think he was here on WhatsApp Lagos just before the elections, but he's back here with us today. Mr. Akintunde Sawyerr, he is the Executive Secretary, Nigerian Education Loan Fund. It's called NEL Fund. Thank you so much, Mr. Akintunde, for joining us and welcome. I know that we pushed this interview till today, but thank God it's happening. Good afternoon. Oh, I think you're muted because we can't hear you. No, I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you. I think that you are muted, so we'll try to see if we can get the audio back on. Yes, you are muted. By the way, I'll just give you a brief background about my guest. We're trying to sort out the audio. I think that we have someone on. Okay, yeah. It's working now. Can you say something? Let's see if we can hear you.
Yes, hello, good afternoon.
Perfect. All right, please. Whoever else is on that needs to mute themselves. We cannot have that feedback.
There's a reason why over 1 million people tune into Hard Facts every day. We discuss in-depth stories with sources behind the facts.
The Lagos State High Court has convicted, suspended the Chicago certificate story is never going away, is it? Show with stories for the day.
You hear diverse voices and opinions.
And she was meeting campaign with her husband, knowing that.
You should not feel happy because there is nothing to happy about.
Yeah, it's quite pathetic the way the country is going.
We distinguish each story accurately with analysis.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
In a world filled with dreams and aspirations, there are those who dare to turn their visions into reality. They are the backbone of our economy, the small, medium, and big businesses that drive us forward. From the quaint corner stores on Broad Street to the local boutiques and small businesses in Balogun, medium-sized businesses fuel the engine of growth, providing job opportunities for countless individuals. These businesses form the lifeblood of our economy, working hand in hand to create a thriving ecosystem of commerce and prosperity. On Balogun Broad, we celebrate the resilience and ingenuity of small, medium, and big businesses. We don't just keep an eye on the stock exchange market, we're in touch with our local markets too. Join us every Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. on Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. Do you want to dive into the exciting world of real estate and housing? Welcome to Madam Landlord, where we guide you through the ins and outs of property market. Whether you're a seasoned investor, a first-time buyer, or renting, we have got you covered.
You will be the one to go around look for a house, and when you call them, they start charging you for rubbish. All of a sudden, the house just change for nothing. The industry standard is about 10%. You can do 5%, there's nobody's your house. For God's sake, it can be controlled.
Join us every fortnight on Wednesdays as we bring you expert advice, exclusive interviews, and insider tips from industry professionals. From negotiation strategies to property management hacks, we will explore it all. Get ready to be inspired, informed, and empowered to make smart decisions when it comes to real estate dreams. We'll help you to navigate the market like a pro. Join us every fortnight from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Wednesday. There's a reason why over 1 million people tune into Hard Facts every day. We discuss in-depth stories with sources behind the facts.
The Lagos State High Court has convicted, suspended the Chicago certificate story is never going away, is it? Show with stories for the day.
You hear diverse voices and opinions.
And she was meeting campaign with her husband, knowing that.
You should not feel happy because there is nothing to happy about.
Yeah, it's quite pathetic the way the country is going.
We distinguish each story accurately with analysis.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, we're back. We're still talking about the Nigerian Student Loan Fund. And I did tell you my guest is the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund. Mr. Akintunde Sawyerr is the Executive Secretary. He's joining us via Zoom. It's so good to have you join us. I hope you can hear me now and I can hear you too.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Good afternoon.
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Well, let's get to it because we've lost some time. What exactly is this loan fund for those who do not necessarily understand it? Because when they hear about student loans, it sounds a bit, different from what we know. We've always paid our school fees. If we have to take a loan, we go to the banks. It's not necessarily something that we're used to. So why the Student Loan Fund?
Okay, so the opposite word in what you just said is we. I mean, who's we? The majority of Nigerians do not have access to finance. The Nigerians in the category that we're talking about don't have that we opportunity to go and get a loan to finance education. So whilst I appreciate that many do, the types of people that we're targeting with this do not generally have that option. So perhaps I should just share a little bit more with you.
Yes, please.
So the Education Loan Fund was signed into law by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on the 12th of June 2023. And the whole idea behind this is that people who have the
Oh my goodness, we're having a
capacity, the
connection issue
willingness,
with you.
the motivation, if you like, the capability of going to a higher institution, now have the opportunity, because the issue that they face should not be finance, because this fund is designed to bridge that gap for them.
For again, because of the peculiarity of where we find ourselves, Nigeria, how will this be streamlined in a way that it gets to the people who need it the most? Because you see, we've had situations like, the what was it called now? The 5,000 naira that government was giving, the market monies that they were given. There's not been a data of sorts that one could say, well, this is the data we're using to determine who's the poorest of the poor, or this is the data we're using to determine who really needs the student loan over the others, because there are people who still can't afford to pay their school fees, and there are those who want to go to school, but they do not have the means. So how do you determine who needs this loan and who can assess it?
Okay, in the first instance, just so that you get a complete view of how this is going to run. The idea behind this is that in operating it, the applicants who have to be Nigerians, so anyone is free. We are offering, as long as they're Nigerian, they're captured via BVN in the financial system. They have a JAMB acceptance to a specific institution. If they're already in an institution, they have a matric number. And if they're going to attend an institution, they have an admission number. This is all going to be electronic. So they're going to go to a portal, they're going to register, they're going to provide the unique IDs, down to the point where they know exactly which institution they've been accepted to go into. Once they apply, so there will be, at the end of this process, the option for them to apply for the loan. They'll know what the fees are, so they know exactly how much they're liable for, if you like, the course they're going to do, the program, the institution. Once they apply, there's then a period of time, the law says within 30 days, when an approval, 30 days from the receipt of the application, for them to then get either an approval or a rejection. Now, we're starting this process with the publicly owned tertiary institutions. That's universities, polytechnics, and teacher training colleges. Once the application is made, we will be able to make a determination, one, as to their eligibility in terms of who they are, what their background is, what the likeliness is that they actually need the loan, and then finally to be able to make some sort of decision around that in their favor. The funds, by the way, once the loans is applied for and approved, will go straight from the fund direct to the institution that they're going to attend.
Oh, so it's more like a trust fund.
So there's really no human.
I'm so sorry, your internet is breaking, so you can't hear me. What I'm asking is, it's more like a trust fund where the monies are paid directly to the schools, so you don't have access to that money. You can't touch it. It's only when requested that it's paid for and paid directly into the school's coffers. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. That the funds that it's approved for, nobody will touch.
I'm so sorry, Ms. Akintunde. I'm gonna take a quick break. Let's see if we can fix your internet, because it's breaking and we can barely hear what you're saying. We'll be right back after this break. We're still talking with the executive secretary of the National Students Loan Fund, and he's Akintunde Sawyerr. We're having a little internet hitch here, so we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll fix that.
curious about what's happening in the world of politics beyond your borders? Tune into Global Review as we bring you the latest political stories from across the globe.
Many Palestinians, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, are forced off their land by that conflict. So one starting fact is 5.9 million Palestinians are refugees.
But what we don't realize is that what's happening in the Congo is happening in your backyard as well. 6 million people, over 6 million people have died in the Congo because it's the same conflict, right? In the DRC, we have militia groups, we have neighborhood trees, but why are they fighting? Why people die is to get control of our resources.
Join me, Maryann Okon, as we dive deep into the most pressing issues, uncovering the truth and analyzing the impact on a global scale. From the corridors of power in Washington to the bustling streets of Accra, we've got you covered. We'll take you on a journey through different political systems, exploring the challenges and triumphs of the nations near and far. Hear from world leaders, experts, newsmakers, and everyday citizens as they share their perspective, providing a comprehensive overview of the political landscape. Tune in every Thursday, 4 to 5 p.m. on Hard Facts to be a part of the global conversation on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Millions of listeners trust us on Hard Facts. Whether it's politics, social issues, controversies, and trending stories, you know we're credible and objective.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Well, in case you're just joining us, the program is Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info. We're broadcasting live from our audio-visual studios right here in Itimian Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. And I did tell you that we're going to be talking about the federal government student loan fund. Yes, there is a student loan. If you are a student and you're intending to go into university and you want someone to support you, some sort of support, the federal government has capped that out. And that's why Akintunde Sawyerr is here to talk to us about it. We're going to have him join us back again on Zoom in a bit. But on June 12, 2023, Mr. President had told us that he had approved the student loan scheme and it would go live in January of 2024. Here we are, fast forward to March of 2023. And the president had promised that the episodes of industrial actions by academic staff union of universities would become a thing of the past. Might I also add that as we speak, certain university professors have not been paid their salaries and lecturers. Yes. Anyway, the president also said that by January 2024, the new student loan program must commence. He said that the future of our children and students for the future of our children and our students, we're saying no to future strikes. Yes. He said this actually when he was at the economic summit in Abuja. Now, this particular loan scheme is anchored by the non-profit think tank, the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. Tinubu, Mr. President, who elaborated on his administration's plan to stabilize the economy through the collaboration of all stakeholders, especially the private sector, also noted that there was a need for immediate initiation of a sustainable credit scheme. He also reasoned that such a scheme would aid in an effective anti-corruption campaign. So Akintunde Sawyerr is going to be explaining to us how this works. First and foremost, he's told us that if you get an admission to a university, you must have a JAM identification number or registration number. You must apply to get admission into a school, know what course that you're going to study. All of that is going to enable them, that is the school loan fund, understand how much it will cost you. And then, of course, they'll be able to calculate it. But then that money doesn't come to you. It doesn't enter your hand. It doesn't go into your bank account. The monies are paid directly to the schools. But I've got a lot of questions for Mr. Akintunde Sawyerr, and I'm sure that you also have a lot of questions for him. So once he joins us again, we will be posing all those questions to him because we do not have too much time on the show this afternoon. But we're trying to get them back on the line. As soon as we're able to get him back, he's going to give us more information. Unfortunately, the internet is not very friendly to Mr. Sawyerr today while he's talking to us. So we're trying to see if we can fix that. Once that is fixed, we can go ahead with this interview. Well, if you have questions already, please feel free to send them. sorry, send them to our WhatsApp. I almost said call me. Send them to our WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp lines are open. You could also join the conversation. We're on facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM 99.3. Please post your comments on our Facebook Live. You could also post your comments on our YouTube Live. Yes. Post your questions on YouTube Live because Mr. Akintunde Sawyerr is going to be answering all those questions. And of course, if you need clarity on anything, he will be doing just that. In 40 seconds, we'll be going on our first break. And when we come back, hopefully we can squeeze everything into the next few minutes that we have before we wrap up on this side of the clock. Mr. Akintunde Sawyerr is joining us back again. Mr. Sawyerr, apologies. We know that these things happen every now and again. But I have just 40 seconds before we go on a break. You've told us that these monies will not go into any personal account. It's going straight to the university account. But the average person would ask you, everybody doesn't know exactly how much they pay all through a semester or through a session because these charges keep coming. How will you as a fund be able to determine all of that?
Okay, so just to say very quickly, it's not just universities, it's teacher training colleges and colleges. We are in communication through the regulatory bodies, the NUC, the MBT, and the NCCE, to ensure that we have a clear database and a clear understanding of what fees are due per course, per student, per semester, per session.
Okay.
So the students really need not worry about what the cost of the course is. We're already in touch with the institutions to gather those figures and to work.
We'll be right back after this break. Stay with us, Lagos.
Talk, news and sports after this.
Nigeria Info's I Beg to Differ Season 7 has entered the penultimate phase with 4 debaters standing. Lagos, Nigeria, meet your semi-finalists. Ajekigbe Mercy will face Adio Afolarin at 4 p.m. on Thursday. They will debate the topic. The PDP's 16 years in government did more harm to Nigeria than the APC's last 8 years. And at 5 o'clock, Ibitare Marvelous Kuku and Adikwetu Adenike will square up to each other on the topic. The Nigerian police force should be banned from wielding heavy weapons. I am Yvonne Ohaifo. Join Femi Obang Daniels and me from 4 p.m. on Thursday to catch the action. I Beg to Differ Season 7. 32 debaters, now 4. One winner, 1 million naira. Sponsored by May Brands, supported by Obiwizi and Just Food. For sponsorship, send an email to info@nigeriainfo.fm. I Beg to Differ, a tournament of champions.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
This is Hard Facts.
All right, the Executive Secretary of NEL Fund is still with us via Zoom. Mr. Akintunde Sawyerr has been giving us a brief background as to how this Students' Loan Fund is going to happen. And he's saying it's not just for universities, it's for teacher training colleges and other tertiary institutions across the country. Well, again, the average person is wondering, this data that they give you, is it going to cover all the essential charges? I went to a Nigerian university. I went twice. And I tell you, these charges, whether you like it or not, keep coming, and sometimes they change per session.
Yeah. The idea is to cover all the institutional charges, so that the student, once they apply for the loan, which will be paid 100%, will not need to have to pay anything themselves for that to that institution for the program of study that they're on per session. So it will cover all institutional charges. That is the plan, that is the intention, and that is how we intend or plan to do it.
All right, I want to bring Lagos into this conversation because they have so many questions, maybe even more than I do. But before that, quickly, the phone lines are open, by the way. Let's talk about how long this loan covers and how long is the payback process. Now, for those who went to school in the US, in fact, the likes of Obama still paid their student loans for the longest time, even until he got into the Congress. There are people who, have these loans to pay, and it's paced and spread, for years. But how's ours going to work? And how are we certain that these monies will be paid back as and when due?
Okay, that's a really good question. So look, in the first instance, the intention is to enable as many people who want to go and have tertiary education or higher institution education to be able to do that. Okay, so the plan, which we're going to operationalize, is to be able to provide fees for the entire duration of the course. If it's a 4-year course, the fund will pay for the 4 years, as long as the student remains in the institution and is registered each year, which means they're eligible for the next year. In terms of payback, the students or the applicants who then become students, when they qualify or graduate, are not required to pay the loan back until 2 years after their National Youth Service. Now, that only happens if they have a job. So 2 years after National Youth Service, if they have a job. If you don't have a job, you can't pay. And the intention isn't to force people to pay whether they've got a job or not. The hope and the intention of the administration is that jobs will be created, and more people will go to.
Oh my goodness,
to do course.
We're having that internet break again, but we'll try to bring Lagos into this conversation. 0700 993 993 993. We're battling with that Zoom line there. 0700 993 993 993. If you are a lady, call 0201 465 7190. Akintunde Sawyerr is the Executive Secretary, Nel Fund. And of course, if you want to or are interested in the student loan fund that Mr. President floated January of this year, then you might just want to be part of this conversation. So call 0700 993 993 993. And of course, if you're a lady, 0201 465 7190. If you're listening from outside of the country, join us via Skype or Nigeria Info FM via Skype. Or you can send me a WhatsApp message. I'd like to read from you in this conversation. Okay, so go ahead. Let's talk. Let me take a call first. Hello. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts. Hello. All right, do call me back when you're ready. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I want to ask you a guys question. Because I want to ask a guys question.
Go ahead.
Hello.
I can hear you. Go ahead and ask the question.
Okay, I want to ask you guys that maybe in case students finish school, maybe for 4 years, there is no work for the person to pay this money. Will government going to attack the family of the person to come and pay the money, because we know the government will have at hand. Maybe the student finish school and there is no employment for the student to pay the money. The government come and attack the person to come and pay the money.
Well, he just answered that question. He said, if you do not have a job, then you're not able to pay. So they wait until you get a job and then you're able to pay. That's what it is. But the 2 years after NYC, as he said, is if you get a job. But if you do not get a job, then you're unable to pay. Let's read some WhatsApp messages quickly so that Mr. Sawyerr can answer these questions. This one says, from his response to you on the payback conditions, this is a failed project. Mr. Sawyerr, would you like to respond to what he's just said? Someone here is saying that response being that you're going to wait for people to get jobs before they can pay back, means that this project is a failed one.
Okay, so I guess the questioner is saying that it's a failed project because we're making it lenient and making it easy for people to have to pay back. We have an education deficit in the country. We're trying to address that. It only fails if we don't address that education deficit. The objective, we're not a commercial bank. It's not a commercial project that seeks to sit. We're trying to address, not the payback at this stage.
Okay. All right. Let's take another call. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Jaden. I'm calling from Peju.
Go ahead, quickly.
Yes. Not everybody that will finish school that will work with government employment. How are they going to track the people? That somebody maybe finished school in Zaria and is now living in Delta or in Enugu. How is he going to track the person when he's not employed in the government work and maybe he's doing on his own job?
Okay, great question. Thank you very much for calling. Did you hear his question, Mr. Sawyerr?
I only heard how we're going to track the people. Could you just repeat the question?
Well, he's saying that if someone were to be serving in Zaria and didn't get a government job, and then he moves to, let's say, Enugu and starts a business, how are you going to track him and how are you going to get your money back?
Okay, so there will be a register. So remember, when people apply for this loan, they will have to use their national identification number, which will tell us effectively, or which will be labeled as showing that they have a loan from the NEL fund. Mm-hmm. They will also be providing their bank verification number, so we will be able to assess whether or not they are working, because we'll have the opportunity, if they have a loan, to determine, their earning potential or earnings as it goes. The way this works is that the onus is on the employer to check the register, see if the person that they're about to employ has a loan, because the NIN will uniquely identify them as having taken a loan. Mm-hmm. Once that is done, it is the employer that is obliged to remit the repayments to the fund. I see. And that currently, according to the law, sits at 10%. If they're earning 1,000 naira, 100 naira will be deducted and sent to the fund. If they're earning 10,000 naira, 1,000 naira will be deducted and sent to the fund. So, but the onus is on the employer. Now, if somebody is in work and they don't have work after 6 months, the 6 months that they're working, the deductions will be made. If they lose that job or they leave that job after 6 months, they can't be expected to pay the loan back at that stage. And there's no tenor. So, they pay as they have it. It's not like you've got 10 years to pay. And there's no chance that we're going to go after their families or anybody like that, as the previous questioner said. This is not to criminalize the applicants, is to ensure that we get the funds back and the employers will be responsible for doing that.
Okay, great. Let's take another call. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts. Turn off your radio, please. Good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to your guest. My question is...
good afternoon.
Yeah. My question is this not a ploy to make average Nigerian graduates a chronic debtor? Because looking at the indices of employment, it's been difficult for you to predict that an average Nigerian graduate will just get jobs so easily. And by the time most of these graduates became, I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah.
When these people became chronic debtors, outside working in established institutions, they might want to go for their steps, maybe on an entrepreneurial basis. Now, having a load of debt on their head, it might be very difficult for them now to secure loan from any financial institution. So my question is it not a ploy to make from Nigerian graduates chronic debtors?
All right. Thank you very much for calling, Merchant Man. So, again, is this a ploy to keep us perpetually indebted to the government?
Well, I don't believe so. I believe that, if people don't get the right level of education, then they won't get the opportunity to get the right types of well-paid jobs. And in that event, they become chronic debtors anyway. What this loan, which is completely interest-free, has no tenor attached to it, and doesn't oblige people to pay when they don't have the funds, it's to lift people from one level to another. And hopefully, if you go to a tertiary institution or you get proper skills, and we're going to talk about vocational skills perhaps later, it helps you increase the earning capacity of that individual. And because their earning capacity has improved, they'll be able to earn more money to pay this loan and any other loans they might get. The fact of the matter is that if people can afford to pay for their own education without resorting to a loan, this doesn't force them. This is not a compulsory initiative. It is an initiative of choice. And if people choose to go and take the loan to improve their lives, good for them.
Okay.
But we want to give the choice. If people don't want it, they don't have to take it. There's no question of forcing people to become chronic debtors.
Okay, let's take a few more calls. In case you're just joining us, the program is Hard Facts, and we're talking about the Students' Loan Fund. For those of you who do not know, well, Mr. Akintunde Sawyerr is here to, he has been helping us to understand it and how it works. And now we're taking your questions, so let's hear it. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Mariam.
Yes,
Long
ma'am.
time, oh.
Long time. How you day?
Welcome. Cool enjoyment.
Thank
you.
Yes.
See, my own question is that, say students have been complaining about this institution, that things are not okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not supposed to be the way it's supposed to be, the standard of a university. Why can't they fix all those things first before dishing out loan to all these people? Let them make it be good standard first. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. I appreciate it, Market Woman. Let me take another call here. Hello.
Hello, Maryann.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Okay, for me, I have an issue with this process.
Okay.
Now, you're telling us that we should pay whenever we have money. Now, I see this as a loophole for misappropriation of funds. And Nigerians are very smart. When you mean very smart, they are very smart. They will collect that money and they will not pay that money. They will keep telling you, "What? I'm having a business." It's not every man that gets you employed that will want to check what he said at deduct 10% and all that. There are so many inorganized organizations that are not structured. They will not do that. The so-called one-man business will not do that. Now, you are telling us that we have to do all this so that we're able to pay. It's the same government people that will tell their people, go and collect money, you know, go pay, no worry. I'm telling you, there'll be a lot of misappropriation of funds. That's where I see it.
Okay.
And, a lot of things will start going from there, There's no tracking. You can't track it.
Okay.
We're saying we have BVN, we have this, we have that. It's not the same BVN that will come and tell you tomorrow, come and link this, come and link that. We don't have all this now. Why are we deceiving ourselves here?
Okay.
Why are we trying to deceive ourselves?
All right. Thank you very much for calling. There seems to be obviously a trust deficit here, Mr. Sawyerr. Nigerians don't, in fact, have lost every iota of confidence or trust in the government and in their modus of operation. And how do you even begin to get people to trust the process? I mean, you've got your job cut out for you, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. You're absolutely right. Trust is something that you have to earn. You can't buy it. You can't give it to people. You have to earn it. There's a good reason why there's a trust deficit here. The lady referred to the misappropriation of funds. That has been the pattern across many decades in this country, where funds have been misappropriated. It doesn't surprise me that this continues to, pervade in the minds of Nigerians. That look, here's another opportunity for funds to be misappropriated. All I can do is say this: that is not our intention. Our intention, as I said earlier, is to close the education deficit gap at the highest levels. Mm-hmm. Our intention is not to trade with money. Now, we have linked it to NIN, to BVN, to matric numbers, to admission numbers, to JAM admission numbers and dates of birth. Mm-hmm. This is all eminently trackable. If anybody wants to conduct an audit on who got money when, where, and how, it is all going to be logged. And if you remember what I said earlier, the funds are going from the fund to the institution, not through the hands of anybody. All of this is going to be done electronically, and it will be eminently trackable. Of course, if we start a process of introducing any manual intervention into this, then there's the opportunity for misappropriation. Our intention, our objectives, our investment is to ensure that this is completely tech-driven and has a complete audit trail that follows the funds wherever it goes. If people don't pay back, this won't be the first country in the world where people take loans and don't pay back. We're not going to criminalize applicants, regardless of what is said, because we believe that people should have the opportunity to go and get an education without being fearful of what's going to come next. We would rather a handful of people get the loan and don't pay back than deprive a lot of people who need the loan from getting it.
Interesting. I hear you talk about a lot of technology and a lot of data, and data is one of the reasons why we're where we are today, because we saw a former boss of the NIMC, if I'm not mistaken, pay, or rather source for money from his friends to help with a kidnapping, when he was the one who told us while he was in office that the NIMC and us getting our NIN is going to be uhuru of sorts for us when it comes to dealing and tracking and tracing these terrorists and bandits. So again, what kind of data are we supposed to believe in if the same NIMC and its former boss are the same ones who are crowdfunding for monies to pay for bandits to release people who've been kidnapped? So if the NIMC hasn't necessarily worked when we needed it the most, how are we certain that it's going to work here in the students' loan process?
So, you're right. If there is deliberate intention to defraud, deliberate intention to capture the state, to capture a program, it's going to be difficult for somebody like me to stop that from happening. Having said that, what we can do is put as many checks and balances into the process as possible and bring as much transparency into it as possible. We can only do our best. If we start making promises that, all the people who are involved in the process will not do what they're not supposed to do, I think we'll be fooling ourselves. And again, Nigerians are smart, so are the Singaporeans, so are Malaysians, so are Americans. Every bad intention, sometimes in the state system, sometimes outside. All we can do as responsible citizens is to try to make sure that those who need to get the opportunity get it. And we don't stop the opportunity because there are a handful of people either inside the system or outside the system who want to spoil it. We've just got to do our best.
Okay. Let's take
then move on.
All right. Let's take a few more calls, Mr. Sawyerr. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name, sir? Where are you calling from?
This is Malik speaking from Ikeja.
All right, Malik, go ahead.
Maryann, it's funny when he said you pay back a loan at any time you feel like. And we know this country. We know how loan has been given is never paid back. So many loans have been given by the government, huge amount of money. They can never ask, they don't even know who took the loans, but the money is gone. Is this another way out for the government to loot its own citizens and say we get them loan, we cannot trace them back or we cannot get them back? How can you give loan and say you can pay at any time? Who does that?
Okay.
So you mean the student at 1 billion and 500 million choose to collect loan? How much will left from the money? Good afternoon.
All right, Malik, thank you very much for calling. I appreciate it. Let me run straight to WhatsApp and read some of the messages there. I'll let Mr. Sawyerr smile a bit while he thinks about the response. This one says, this is Elisha. While this is a laudable idea, I still have doubts in the ability of the government to fully recover the loans which may hamper, I beg your pardon, the continuity of this initiative. Most beneficiaries may end up after graduation in informal business like barbering, hairdressing, tailoring, taxi driving, etc. due to unemployment. Anybody with a fraudulent mindset will still not pay since there's no way of tracing their earnings. That's another question that's in line with one of those callers. This one here says, if I collect the loan and I graduate and I travel abroad, how are they going to track me and trace me? Geoffrey from VI. Back to you, Mr. Sawyerr.
Okay, so let me perhaps start with Mr. Malik. I think his question was that how can people be told that they can pay the loan back whenever they feel like it? That's not quite how it's designed to work. What we have said is that when people are able to pay it back, they pay it. If they're not able to pay it back, then they don't pay. It's about ability to pay. It's not about can pay, won't pay. It's about ability to pay. And our intention, I will repeat again, is to ensure that those individuals who desperately need this loan get their opportunity to get it back. Now, we're hearing a lot of talk about loan recovery, how we're going to get the loan back, this, and it's great. Absolutely right. But let me give you some examples, okay? Just apart from those who won't pay the loan back. What about people who take the loans and die? What about people who take the loans and have a debilitating illness, a car accident, a crash? How are we going to get that back? We have to recognize that what we're doing here is trying to upskill Nigerians. If you upskill Nigerians and they're able to create companies, start their own businesses, work for companies, there'll be more taxes being paid in the economy. So it's not just about giving people loans and taking the loan back. We're not giving loans for cars or for motorcycles. We're giving loans for people to increase their capacity and be able to contribute more to the nation. I, for one, think that that's a great thing to do. I'm more interested in how many people we can upskill that can then become effective contributors to the economy than how many people we can chase down to bring the loans back. Look, all of this, I think, comes from the trust deficit that exists. That, look, here's another opportunity to give out loans to people that are their friends, and then they'll go and collect the loans. That's not the intention here. And all of the systems that we're putting in place makes it auditable. In other words, if that happens, it can be traced. Now, you might say, well, what's the point of going to trace something that has happened already? Well, that's the best we can do. We put an audit trail in that's trackable and traceable, and we try to make sure it works. But guess what? It won't be 100%. It won't be foolproof. That I'll tell you today. It will not be foolproof. But what it will do is that a good number of people will be able to achieve and realize their educational capabilities and attain a higher level of development, self-development, and hopefully if we get enough of those people, national development will increase.
All right. Still going back to WhatsApp, because I have about 7 minutes on the clock before we wrap this up. Someone says, I'm Lanre. My question is, how can we apply for the student loan? Is there a site that we could go and register? He said initially they said that the loan would be launched on the 21st of February. To our own surprise, no student loan was launched on the 21st of February. The big question is, how do we assess or access the loan? Can you tell us exactly where people can go to register for this loan, Mr. Sawyerr?
Okay, so the loan fund has not, the loan applications have not been launched yet. And just to address the issue of why that is and why there's been postponements, we've been trying to ensure that we align all of the issues that need to be aligned. We've been taking feedback. We've been looking at cybersecurity issues. We've been looking at ensuring that the solidness of the platform. The launch will take place this month, and we would rather make it a robust platform that works properly than rush into something that we have to then double back to go and fix it. It will be launched this month. That's what Mr. President wants. That's what he wanted way back in February when the original date was set. We are going to be advertising fairly widely the site that applicants or intended applicants need to go to. The site isn't open yet. It will be launched officially, and people will know because we will advertise this and we will carry out sensitization programs everywhere so that you'll know where to go. A show like this just gives us an opportunity to discuss what is coming, to take feedback, and to understand how people are feeling. But, you know, every question I've heard today, I think is completely justified, whether it's been the cynical ones or the skeptical ones or the optimistic ones, all justified. This is where we find ourselves. What we're trying to do is fix one tiny corner of the problems that we are facing in this country, the myriad of problems. We're not denying that there are no problems. We're not denying that there shouldn't be a trust deficit. We're just saying, in this case, we're going to have a go. We're going to do our best. We're going to try. And, hopefully some people will benefit from this, who will look back and say, if not for that loan, I will not be where I am today, which hopefully will be in a better place for them. And if we do enough of that, as I said, it will be better for the country. But I understand the feelings around this. But this is not about, we gave you a loan, let's go and recover it. There was another question that was asked about people who leave the country.
Yeah.
Look, it's a fair question. People are leaving for greener pastures. We can't stop people from going. Slavery was abolished a long time ago. You can't say because you gave somebody a loan, you're going to pin them down or you're going to imprison them. You can't do that. People will go abroad. But, the truth about it is that if we begin to increase the capacity here, jobs will come from abroad here, and there'll be greater employment. This is one part of many pillars that are being built by this administration. And as long as all those pillars live up to what they're supposed to, there'll be jobs to go to, there'll be less people going abroad. And, but you can't stop everybody from going abroad. If this was the best country in the world, somebody would still want to go and work abroad, and they may or may not want to pay back the loan.
Okay. Let's see if we can take a few Skype calls, because people are trying to call us from outside of the country who are interested in this conversation. For those of you who are joining us, the program is Hard Facts, and today joining me is the Executive Secretary of NEL Fund, Mr. Akintunde Sawyerr. He's taking all your questions and concerns about the Student Loan Fund, or scheme, depending on how you see it. Mr. President had spoken about it last year, and of course he came alive in January of this year. But then it's yet to be, the website where you can go and access the loan is yet to be live. It will be launched, just as my guest has said. But let's take a few questions. If you're on Skype or Nigeria Info FM, go ahead and call us. This one says, this is just another way of corruption coming into our political system. Maryann, mark my words. Today, 50% of the budgeted money will never ever get to the students. Daniel from Ogwa. This one says, I'm not against the loan, but please, what's the plan by the government to upgrade schools' curriculum? I also want to advise that they restrict the loan to some courses and disciplines or technical skills that have already gotten a market. Also, the schools, will the government come hard on the universities? Will there be immediate upgrade of those prison cells our federal universities called hostels? Will there be better classes and libraries? Will you discipline our vice chancellors to improve our school learning environment? And now that they have funding, this is a very full question. But let me take one last call, and then I'll let you wrap up with this one. Hello, Osas is calling us via Skype. Hello, Osas.
Sugar Daddy calling from Ontario, Canada.
Go ahead.
Quick question. Do we have the best education in even West Africa? I'm asking you, Maryann.
Well, I don't know what you want me to say, but go ahead quickly. We don't have time. I have
Okay,
just 40 seconds. Yeah.
So my question would be, why would I want to pay for an education that I know that it's not up to par? Because I would say, using myself as a case study, I went to a private school in Nigeria. In fact, one of the best schools in Nigeria. And even while trying to work in Nigeria before leaving Nigeria, I still had to be trained by my employer. So this is one of the best schools that I can, at least I know I can stand toe to toe with any student in any other.
Okay, can you quickly ask the question? I have 20 seconds. We have to go.
So, my question at the end of the day is that, at the end of the day, why should I pay? Wouldn't it be a better use of money to give this incentive to the employer to train whoever they are employing to help ease their burden in order to take in more people? And why are you trying to train more people when people are still leaving at this point?
Okay.
Wouldn't it be a better use of money to ensure that, okay, this company is coming and train people rather than you training people for them to now leave? Because
All right. I have to let you go, not because you're not making sense, but because I have just 60 seconds, in fact, 50 seconds before my time is up. Ms. Akintunde, quickly, in 40 seconds, would you kindly quickly respond?
Yeah, I didn't quite hear the question. What was the question?
Well, my time is really fast spent. So I just want to quickly say thank you for coming on the show. Unfortunately, our time is really fast spent and we have to go. Akintunde Sawyerr is the Executive Secretary of NEL Fund. I will bring him back. So because people are sending me messages, I will bring you back sometime soon, maybe next month, to have this conversation. And probably we will not have this internet connection problems and people will be able to ask more and more questions. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Mr. Sawyerr. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me on the show, having us. I representing the NEL Fund. And I thank all the people who dialed in questions. Stay tuned.
All right, thank you very much. Akintunde Sawyerr is the Executive Secretary of NEL Fund. And this is where I say my goodbyes. I Beg to Differ begins right now with Femi Abong-Daniels and Yvonne Ohaifo. Today is the semi-finals. My name is Maryann Okon. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, MIMIEYO. I'll be back tomorrow on Hard Facts.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria.